Shabbat Shalom. We could really use some shalom in our world this Shabbat. Last week we finished the book of Leviticus. So this week we begin the fourth book in our Torah, the book of Numbers. Now, Numbers begins fairly appropriately to its name with counting, with a census of the Israelite people. As people, we like to count. We love our data. We continue the tradition of the census and the tradition of analyzing the statistics of our people to this day. However, this census in Parshat Bamidbar is taken for a specific reason. This census is to determine how many of the Israelite people are eligible to fight. It is a count of all the men in each tribe who can make up the army to defend the people. We have a long, complicated history of needing to defend ourselves. It goes back as far as our foundational texts and feels deep in the core of our tradition and story. Time and again, we have had to beat the odds and overcome our adversaries, often adversaries much stronger than ourselves. Defense is a powerful motivator. It goes hand in hand with fear to kick in all our reserves of strength and determination to survive. And we have survived, against all odds, through many seemingly hopeless situations, both biblically and in modern times. But there is another side of defense and fear. It can give us tunnel vision. It can make us feel trapped in a fight, unable to give an inch of ground, or our very existence could hang in the balance. When we are so caught up in defending ourselves, we lose sight of the bigger picture. We can't see that the other side is afraid and defensive too. Now, you may think I'm talking about the situation in Israel, and maybe I am, but I'm also talking about the wars of opinions and identity politics playing out on the internet surrounding the conflict in Israel. As is the case for many online arguments this year, two sides form, and the more they argue, the more either side digs in and stops listening. The problem with that is it becomes very emotional and very personal, and nothing is resolved. The division leaves no room for a middle ground. There is a middle ground here. We can love and support Israel and also criticize the way it governs. We can feel for the people in Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, and Sderot who have to run to a bomb shelter or stairwells as rockets fly in from Gaza, at the same time as we mourn the lives lost in Gaza from the counter-strikes. We can hold multiple truths at once. We can separate the actions of a government from the experience of its people. This is not a black and white situation, as much as certain arguments may make it seem that way. The second part of Bamidbar talks about the roles of each of the tribes in the Israelite camp. Each had a place to sleep and a job to do, and it was time to pack up and move on. This gives us a model for how different people with different experiences and different opinions can work together as one people to make it through the wilderness. We must find ways to communicate with each other and truly hear what the other is saying. We must open our hearts to the complexities of this human issue, and we must follow the lead of the people on the ground, Israelis and Palestinians, who are working for peace. We know that a government does not always represent its people, and that any one group of people contains multitudes. May we work to move past our defensiveness and fear and not lose hope for a better future for all people. Shabbat Shalom.